Series, an urgent search is underway right now and gaining more and more attention and response from law enforcement, all looking for a teenage girl who disappeared from a campground in Northern California in the last few days. 16-year-old Kiely Rodni was attending a senior send-off party with her friends Friday night. She has not been seen or heard from since. The FBI is now involved, and authorities say they are looking at a potential abduction. We want to give you a close look at Kiely tonight, and this was captured on surveillance video just hours before she was last seen. Police are looking for her 2013 silver Honda CR-V as well, but you can see her in jeans and a black tank top with a black belt prior to her disappearing. Correspondent Nancy Liu joining us live this evening in California. Nancy, her friends, Kiely's friends, are saying they believe that something bad happened to her. They were also the last people to see her before she went missing.
That's right, Marnie. This was a senior last bash that got much bigger than expected, with well over 200 teenagers and young people drinking in the woods.
I went up to her and I said, hey, I got another ride home, because she was meant to be my ride home, but I knew she was too intoxicated to get me home. So I said, hey, I found another ride home. Like, I hope you stay safe. Like, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, I love you. Like, have fun and stuff. I think it's totally possible that somebody could have taken her and maybe offered to drive her home. They've searched into the forest. They've searched into the water. They've searched in every single place, and there's no tire tracks or anything from what I know.
16-year-old Kiely Rodni was last seen at a senior going-away party near Prosser Family Campground, north of Lake Tahoe, Friday night.
Where that white car is where the majority of kids were standing, in between these 3 trees right here. This is where the lights were hung up.
A friend showed us the area where an estimated 200 to 300 young partiers had gathered.
There were cars all up in here and all back in there.
A lot of older people started showing up that people didn't know. Like, a lot of drugs were involved, like drugs that we don't typically have just in parties. And our parties also just aren't normally that big.
Kiely Rodni was last seen around 12:30 in the morning.
She sent me a text at 11:30 telling me that she was going to be leaving at about 12:15 and coming home. And she said, okay, Mom, I love you. And that was
so, no, we don't. If you think you have information and you don't know if it's relevant, we want it. We want any information, because we'll follow up on any and every lead that we can. Obviously, we have to prioritize them so that we can focus our resources. And so those who had firsthand contact with Kiely, who interacted with her near the time that she was last seen, those take priority. But we're looking at, video that people are sending in, anything. We're looking at timestamps so we can create the best timeline possible, take all that information, and we're committing all the resources we can to follow up.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to introduce Nevada County Sheriff's Office Sergeant Hack, who will be speaking more on the search and rescue efforts surrounding the search for Kiely.
Thank you. Sergeant Dennis Hack, Search and Rescue Coordinator for the Nevada County Sheriff's Office. I want to let you know at this time we have over 16 agencies involved in our search effort. In the field right now we have over 100 volunteers. Those volunteers are searching on foot. We're using canines. We're using vehicles including motorcycles, UTVs, Jeeps, and such. We're using air assets to assist in the search, and we're also searching on the water using boats. As of this meeting right now, we've logged over 1,500 man hours in our effort. We received information on Saturday of the initiation of the missing persons report. We moved into a unified command with Placer County and started conducting a search and rescue operation in Nevada County. Throughout Saturday and Sunday, the incident was handled by Placer County and Nevada County. As the event expanded, we reached out to partners at the state level and also federally to assist us in the search. Search and rescue operates off of the information that we have available to us. The way that we develop that information and design our search areas and our objectives is based off of the clues that we receive from the field while we're searching. And the second way that we receive our information is through the development of the investigation. What we need is the community's help in assisting with providing that information on the investigation. And what I would encourage you to do is, if you have that information, we need the information from the community. We need you to take advantage of that tip line and provide us with additional information. Thank you.
And now we're going to have a brief comment from the FBI. I'd like to introduce Supervisory Senior Resident Agent Forrestel.
Good afternoon. The FBI has and continues to take instances where the most vulnerable in our society are victimized, and we are very happy that we're able to come alongside and partner with Placer County Sheriff's Department, Nevada County Sheriff's Department. We've been part of the full investigative team. As of today, we had approximately 50 other agents up here helping run down some of those priority informations and leads that have come through. And we are going to continue to partner with both agencies as we see this through. So thank you for your time.
Now I'd like to introduce Placer County Sheriff's Captain Troy Sander and Nevada County Sheriff's Office Captain Sam Brown, who have both been in charge of the Unified Command since we have learned of Kiely's disappearance.
Good afternoon, everybody. Sam Brown. I'm a captain with the Nevada County Sheriff's Office. First off, I really just want to say thank you for the partnership that we've had in our Unified Command. Placer County is always a great partner and helps us out quite a bit and is able to help us expand in the abilities of what we can do in a situation like this. I mean, there's so many agencies to list realistically, but Truckee Police Department, CHP, the FBI, I mean, the list goes on, and we have a lot of people that are here giving support and folks in the field. Between our 100 or 150-ish law enforcement officials, we have about 100 searchers in the field and people such as yourselves that are coming out and providing all the community support. That's really what's going to be needed to help to hopefully find some clues or some solutions on where we're at and how do we move forward. I think the biggest message I can say is that we're leaving no stone unturned. We're really working as hard as we possibly can. Teams are tired, much like the family, and we're trying to do our best so that we're supporting the family. We've tried to meet with them regularly and make sure that they have our contact information, and we're trying to be as transparent as possible and continue on in our investigation and our search. Again, I just really want to thank everybody for the partnership, and that we're going to continue working throughout this process and hopefully come up with some positive news that we can bring back to all of you.
Thank you. Troy Sander, Placer Sheriff. We're all here for one reason, and we appreciate the community support. We care. Many of us are parents. We're involved. We're committed, and we will stay committed. I want to reiterate our relationship with Nevada County Sheriff's Office, the FBI. We really appreciate their help. They've come in to help us streamline this process, make it more efficient, make sure we're doing the right things based on best practices. So thank you very much to them. I'd also like to thank the California Highway Patrol for allowing us to house our operations center here, for one, to be close to the Truckee community, more importantly, to be close to the family. So I leave you with a point that I want everyone to know. There's a lot of information coming out there, and a lot of people are asking questions. If you have to ask yourself whether or not you should share some information about what happened, you've already answered the question. No information is too small. Every piece of information we're going to put together to build a puzzle, to continue to push forward, to allow the machine to turn. We're not going to back down. We're 100% committed, and I appreciate the community coming out here. Please keep the family in mind. Realize that when you inundate them with a lot of social media stuff, that a lot of it vets out not to be true. We need you to push that information to the tip line. Let the detectives do the work. Let this family try to work through this process they're going through. So I want to appreciate, again, my partners in this endeavor, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Phoebe Bell with the Department of Behavioral Health will now be providing a brief comment about how her department is supporting Kiely's family and the community at large.
Hi all, Phoebe Bell. I'm the Behavioral Health Director for Nevada County, but also a Truckee resident for 30 years, and I've raised my children here too, and I am wanting to acknowledge right now how painful and hard this time is for everybody. Every single person here is here because you care about our community, about this family, about this young person, about all our young people. And in that vein, I really want to encourage us all to model for ourselves and each other how to best care for ourselves during this hard time. Please talk about how you're feeling. Acknowledge that you might be having a hard time sleeping, or that it's bringing up a lot of fear and anxiety for you. Reach out for help. We have a team of therapists here. They have orange lanyards around their neck. They're over there. They're here to talk to you and support you. Maybe you need some advice about how to talk to your young people about what's going on and how to manage your anxiety about their safety. Whatever it is that you need right now, please reach out. That's the best way we can care for ourselves in this really hard time, and how we can care for each other and care for this family and to bring Kiely home safely. Immediately after this, we will have a room in the rec center where therapists will be, and they'll be conducting more of a group debrief, which is a great way to work through the trauma of a time like this. And so please, if you're interested, go on in and visit that group. But again, this is the best of our community at the hardest of times for our community. Having us all come together and do everything in our power to try to help is a beautiful thing. Please heed the advice of the law enforcement professionals leading this effort. I want to call out our teen community, who has just been beyond amazing, and how they've rallied to this moment, and to encourage them to keep coming forward with their information. And take care of yourselves during this hard time. We're all here for each other.
We'll continue sending out any updates as we get them. We plan to send out any potential updates and additional information tomorrow morning in a press release. We can't stress this enough. Out of the 200 to 300 juveniles and young adults who were at that party at the Prosser campground Friday evening, somebody knows something about Kiely. We are please urging and pleading with the community to please come forward. You will remain anonymous. Please contact us through our tip line. That number is 530-581-6320, option 7. Any bit of information can help lead us to Kiely so we can bring her home safely to her family. The 2 captains and the FBI will be available for any questions, should you have any.
Angela, how many tips at this point have you received? I know as the update yesterday, it was more than 100. Is there an update on that?
We still have over 100 tips that our detectives are working through. They're exhausting every single tip and lead. Unfortunately, we still cannot locate Kiely or her vehicle. That's why we are urging anybody who was at that party that evening to please come forward. We need to find Kiely.
Angela, another question for you. Unfortunately, people in our region in NorCal go missing. It's so rare to see this incredible of a response both from law enforcement and the community. How and why is this specific case receiving this response? It's Truckee.
We want to leave no stone unturned. We take this case, just like any other missing persons case, extremely seriously. Kiely is considered to be highly at risk right now because she is a minor and she is missing, and we cannot locate her or her vehicle. We want to thank everybody who has helped us thus far, our law enforcement partners, the community, people who have come forward anonymously to try and lead us to her. and we will continue to leave no stone unturned until we bring Kiely home to her family.
Now that we have federal resources, are we able to do anything more with her cell phone and find where it pinged after the party? Are those resources helping?
Those details are under investigation. Unfortunately, I cannot discuss them, but please be rest assured, our detectives are doing everything in their power to try and locate Kiely.
Can I ask why?
Sure.
I'll speak to that last question a little bit. So we are working with the FBI. Right now, the last information we have from cellular data is the 6th at 33 minutes after midnight. All of the tips, and we have over 200 now that we're working, and we're getting a lot of tips that are duplicate, so that's why it's important it comes in through the tip line so we don't have people duplicating resources. But we are looking at all that information. We're having multiple different departments look at that information with different resources, but nothing has expanded beyond that timeline at this point.
Can you talk a little bit more how in your investigation, when people post things on social media that may not be true, how that's impacting your investigation and your family? There were false reports last night that her vehicle had been located.
So again, we will prioritize those tips. If something comes in and it seems like a high priority, we're going to throw resources at it. We'll divert resources to address that, to check the veracity of it, and if it ends up being a false tip, I don't want to say that to discourage people from bringing information in. We don't want you necessarily to have to weigh the veracity of the tips. If you have information you think is pertinent, send it to us. We have a lot of people that are just focused on gathering, organizing, triaging, and disseminating resources. So allow us to deal with those tips.
We've been out to the campsite a few times, and the campers said that they saw you guys yesterday morning, today, earlier in the morning. What areas are you guys concentrating on today?
So a lot of this is going to be focused at the search and rescue effort. This is a multifaceted investigation, but so we are working in conjunction with them. But we do also have detectives working with search and rescue. Obviously, the last location known, our search expands from there. And then if we get a tip about another location, we will divert resources and work that to exhaustion. But primarily, we're looking at the last known location. We're expanding beyond there. We're starting with vehicles, OHVs, they're using all those resources down to foot patrols, aircraft. I mean, every resource that we can utilize, we are.
And there are no surveillance cameras in that campground, are there?
No, and we are accepting video from people who are involved. So that's coming into a single source, so that team can evaluate it, look through the video, surveillance video from other areas. We did actually have some surveillance video from a store at 6 o'clock the day before that showed Kiely. And so we have that information, but again, it doesn't expand our timeline. It doesn't really tell us anything that we didn't know, but still, it's great. It confirms a timeline that we already had.
Can I ask if there's an Amber Alert going out? Because it was said that it was going to be cancelled because you were not yet.
No, we've been working with the state. Currently, an Amber Alert has not been sent out, but we have utilized a lot of other resources that are even wider reaching than the Amber Alert system. And so we're working with multiple agencies. We've sent bulletins out to local law enforcement agencies, nationwide resources, and if the criteria is met, if we get a tip that points us in that direction that will meet that criteria, we're going to continue to work with the state. If that becomes appropriate, then we will utilize that resource as well.
Is that the same in terms of borders being closed off, cars being checked?
All those resources to be able to recognize her or her vehicle at borders or any sort of location where we can track people and vehicles. Those resources are all being utilized.
What kind of criteria would you need for an Amber Alert? Because that seems like really important even at this stage of investigation.
I don't want to speak to the exact criteria of the Amber Alert, but we're looking at the Amber Alert is a system for notification with suspected child abduction. Right now, we don't have any evidence that supports an abduction. Like we said, we're not ruling anything out, and that's why we're kind of pulling out all the stops. If this was a hiker and they were known to be in an area, that would be a search and rescue effort because we're searching a very specific area. Because we don't know, we just have that timeline, we're considering everything.
So you're not officially saying that this is an abduction at this point?
No, but we're not ruling that or any other. We have the same fears and concerns that any of the members of the community and the family have, so we won't rule any possibility out.
So at this point, are you still investigating this as an abduction,
No, it doesn't. The terminology is that we're just investigating this. This is a missing persons case. This is a search and rescue effort. We are investigating using every resource under the umbrella of resources that we have access to. So what we title it is kind of irrelevant. We're doing everything we can.
You have hundreds of teenagers here right now who may be nervous to go talk to someone like you because folks are drinking and partying and having fun. Hearing from you, what is your message for the crowd? If there's someone who knows something, there's a fear about their future, getting into college, things like that. What's your message?
So when we spoke to a large group of the kids here at the community center, we made it clear we are not investigating their conduct that night. Okay, if you want to report anonymously, if you heard information from a friend and that friend doesn't want to come forward, please come forward on behalf of your friend and tell us that information. So we are not investigating you. We are partnering with you to receive any information to help find Kiely.
We're only taking 2 more questions at this time. Sir? Unfortunately, the search is still underway, and we don't want to compromise any part of the investigation, so we can't discuss that. Absolutely. They've been searched on the ground and aerially from the air.
How difficult is it being so close to the border with Nevada and Washoe County? Each agency works really well together because of search and rescues during the winter or that stuff. But how difficult is it just being able to cross that border or finding resources to partner with such dense areas around the area?
Do you guys want to answer that?
I think that we're fortunate to have technology on our side in all reality to deal with some of those pieces of locating, say, a license plate and things of that nature. But in relation to Placer and Nevada County, it's been pretty fluid and things have been going pretty well on that end as far as crossing state lines and things of that nature. If you mean more like in a geographical border, we put everything in place that we can for location of the vehicle, and if there's something where somebody knows where she's at or has information, that's what we're needing to put something together. And our hope is that we'll get some sort of piece of information from doing stuff like this, and people in the community that really care and want to have some help in solving this.
We'd like to wrap up the press conference now, as we'd like to get our first responders out to continue the search for Kiely, as that remains our top priority. Both captains will be. Good afternoon. My name is Angela Musalam. I'm the Public Information Officer for the Placer County Sheriff's Office. Thank you again for everybody who is here today as we discuss another update to the search and the investigation into missing 16-year-old Kiely Rodni. We have entered day 5 of the search, and we continue to utilize all local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies to help Kiely's family get some closure, and we're hoping to bring Kiely back home to her family safely. Now, with that being said, we are going to provide an update to the investigation on her search, and with that, I'm going to toss it over to Placer County Sheriff's Office Lieutenant Josh Barnhart.
Good afternoon. I want to start again by thanking the family of Kiely and just how supportive they've been of our efforts in conjunction with working the investigation and the search and rescue. I want to commend the community for coming together and taking part of this as well, and all of the efforts the community has put forth in the search and rescue, and also by providing tips to us. I just want to give you a little update about the investigation side. We're sending detectives out on the tips that we're receiving for follow-up. To date, we've received over 500 tips. We're following up right now on over 380 leads, including email leads of over 300. Our request at this point is if you have video of that night, detectives want more of it. There has been a lot of video provided, and some of it had to do with a fight that occurred at the party. Detectives right now are asking for any additional video that you have. So again, we urge you that you would please bring that forward. Again, we'll refer you to the tip line. If you have any issues with the tip line and getting through, there's an alternate email that we've provided. And as it came up in our community meeting last night, if you are hesitating coming forward to law enforcement, please go to someone that you trust, and I urge you to go to that person to come forward to law enforcement, and they can help you do that. Thank you.
I'd like to now turn it over to Nevada County Sheriff's Office Captain Sam Brown, who will discuss today's efforts of the search and rescue.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're continuing our search. Nothing has slowed down. In fact, I believe we have about the same amount of searchers as we had yesterday, over 100 volunteers, as well as sworn staff, Cal OES, and all kinds of people. We remain in unified command. Our partners with the Placer County Sheriff's Office have been amazing. CHP has provided us with a lot of space, resources, experts in certain fields, Truckee Police Department. Everybody that's been here, including Cal Fire and other folks that you wouldn't even necessarily expect to be here, have been great partners and are giving different pieces of experience and expertise to help us sustain and keep this going. To date, we have 4,500 man hours put into the search alone, which is astronomical in the period of time. We had an earlier meeting today with pretty much experts in the field within California, as well as people from Cal OES that oversee the entire search system for the state, and the law duty officers that answer within that to help us with mutual aid and things of that nature. We are still lacking clues, and so our searches are based off of probabilities of scenarios and different types of incidents. And so I would echo what my partner, Lieutenant Barnhart, had said, that we need information and we need clues. We need people to give us things, even if it's seemingly small. But we're going to continue our efforts, and I really want to thank the family. They've been pretty amazing. We're not coming forth with the answers that they're wanting, and we know that. That's hard for us, but the family has been amazing for us, and both mom and dad have been active players as well as the rest of the family, and trying to make sure we do the best we can for them. So thank you.
I'd like to now direct everybody's attention back to that board. You're looking at a very recent photo taken of Kiely about a month before she disappeared. We want you to pay attention to her jewelry. She's wearing very distinctive gold-colored necklaces, 1, 2, 3 necklaces, and we do believe that these were the same pieces of jewelry that she was wearing when she went missing. This photo was sent to us by her family, and out of respect for the family, we are releasing this photo and just urging everybody to please pay attention if anybody comes across these pieces of jewelry, if anybody locates anything, to please immediately contact the Placer County Sheriff's Office or the Nevada County Sheriff's Office. And with that, we'll open it up for questions.
There was mention of video of a fight. Is that in any way connected to the disappearance?
The only thing I can say is that they have not found a connection yet to it. Obviously, it's being taken into consideration.
And this case is receiving a lot of help from larger agencies, the FBI, Homeland Security at one point. What is it about this case that's attracting so much help from these larger resources?
So as you know, when you are under the age of 18, you're a minor, you're considered very at risk, right? And you're missing. To this day, we still have not been able to locate Kiely or her vehicle. And that's very disturbing for us, for her family, and for the entire community. And because we are treating this case as an abduction solely as a result of her vehicle not being located, that now intensifies the search. And so we, again, will not leave any stone unturned, and we have requested the help of every agency who is willing to help us, and that does include many local, regional, state, and federal agencies, and we're very grateful for their help.
And just clarification, you're treating it like an abduction but not labeling it an abduction?
Correct.
Okay,
yes. Oh, yes,
Why
sir.
have some of the signs in town been changed to trash and debris and not with our information still. The little flashing orange signs, the fire department had put them up. It used to say Kiely or description and stuff, but now it's saying bring your trash and debris to us instead.
I don't have an answer for you. The sheriff's office doesn't control the signs you're talking about, but we can surely inquire and ask. Yeah, we've had lots of discussion about signage. One thing I will throw out is that Code Red and Everbridge, they're the two alert systems. Most people within Nevada County and Placer County are aware of those systems. They're used for emergencies, fires, things of that nature, not typically with missing persons. Due to the struggles of trying to get certain messaging out and higher level messaging, we started releasing our Everbridge and Code Red messages today to include phone call, text message, and email. Some people may not have received it yet. It may take throughout the entire day to have that go out. Somewhat complex to send a message to, say, 100 or 300,000 people, and that will clog up the system. So it's done in a phased approach, but we're trying to compensate for some of those things that are lacking. We've even heard that maybe signs were being pulled down in certain areas of missing posters. Luckily, through the Code Red system and things like that, I don't have as much experience with Everbridge, but we have about an 80% enrollment for Nevada County. So out of our 100,000 residents, that message should hit about 80,000 residents, and could even be non-residents if they ended up registering for our system. So we're trying to compensate for some of those things. I would just like to reemphasize, I mean, I think the reason that everybody is in this room right now is this is getting a lot of attention, and a lot of people are aware of it. The more messaging that we get out, we firmly believe is a better way to do business. But most people are aware, and we're trying to make sure that everybody's aware to the best of our tools. There is still business and things that have to go on in life, and some of those entities that aren't working in our system maybe aren't as aware of, hey, like even though you have these responsibilities for debris or trash, that hey, we could still use some of that help and things like that. But there are still other things that do need to go on. Our emphasis is in the search for Kiely, and we're putting that energy into it.
Is there a specific area, geographic area, where the search is being conducted? I mean, we were talking about searching, but is there a specific location, or is it still pretty broad at this point?
Tough to answer. I mean, to truthfully answer, we have a point last seen and a point last known, and that's confirmed by digital evidence and individuals, and that's our focus. And so when we meet with all these experts in the field and we say, hey, here's our search, here's what we've done, here are the amount of hours and tracks and different things that are going into it, are we missing something? And the answer in the room is no. So then you start to play out your scenarios of, is this a missing person who went off the road? Is this a traffic collision that occurred? Is this some sort of an abduction or even a violent crime or any of those types of scenarios? And then you have to start to think is, how does that search then get impacted by that? And the amount of time that's elapsed, somebody could cross into a different country, a different continent, all kinds of things could happen. And so to focus a search is complicated. So the reason we're constantly in front of the media, trying to do community meetings, trying to use Code Red, trying to work on things like the Amber Alert and things that people are really frustrated about. We just want the word out so that people are looking, and we're getting tips from all over the country. I don't know that any of those have panned out, but we're getting tips from all over the place. And we have other countries that are even asking and wanting to talk to the family. So there's support, I think, because people feel that they could be in this same situation themselves. We just want word out so that more eyes are out, because we don't have an exact spot to look for, and that is unusual, especially with a large object like a car.
Is the navel piercing, is that a unique piece of jewelry? And also in the beginning, there was reports of a nose piercing as well. Are there two unique pieces of jewelry there too? Because that looks pretty unique, other than just the necklaces. Is there anything about that we should be looking for? Because you just asked us to look for necklaces. Has there been any thought about that?
She certainly does have numerous piercings with numerous types of body jewelry, but at this point we're focusing on her jewelry.
On the necklaces.
We were told that she always wears this type of jewelry. And so in case anybody from the family or friends is searching for her and maybe happens to come across these necklaces, you know, we'd want anybody who comes across this to please call us immediately, because that certainly will provide us a new tip in a new direction.
There have been mention of rewards for tips.
Do you guys have anything on that?
We don't have any law enforcement officially related rewards. We understand family and friends have rewards, have a reward set up in place, but that is not something that we can speak on.
Is there some way that pawn shops within the area have access to the possible necklaces appearing?
In California anyway, I can't speak on Nevada because I don't know the laws there. The pawn shops are required to send in notifications and slips to local law enforcement, and then we'd have the ability to then enter those into databases. We do use them for like burglaries and things like that. There's a time frame of when they have to turn that in. That wouldn't be something that would necessarily be immediate. And often one of the difficulties, and that's why I think a lot of emphasis is maybe on some of the jewelry that's on there. I don't know that I can guarantee those match exactly what she has, but often they're entered in as gold chain. And so, you know, you can only imagine the number of gold chains that are put into pawn shops.
You've received over 500 tips and video evidence. Within all of that, were there any sightings of Kiely?
So from what the detectives have reviewed so far, nothing has panned out. However, they continue to work and review video, and we're talking hours and hours of video that they're going to have to pour through, which they are. We've dedicated many detectives to this effort, and they are actively, as we speak, reviewing video to see if there's any clue that would lead us in the right direction.
And Lieutenant, may I ask one more follow-up question? I think this might be important for a lot of people. A lot of the people that we're dealing with here are juveniles. And a point that you mentioned is the fact that if you're not comfortable coming to law enforcement, to go to someone who is comfortable going to law enforcement. Why are you telling us that today, and what's your messaging behind that? And what do you want parents to know? And maybe on the off chance that a child is seeing this on social media or however they're seeing it, what do you want them to know?
So, you know, we understand that the uniform can be intimidating, and so we don't want that to be a stopgap for these juveniles. In speaking with community members last night, we were speaking about that fact, and you know, if you have a coach or a mentor that you trust that can come to law enforcement for you, by all means, or use that as an avenue. And so we just don't want there to be any hesitation on the part of these juveniles to come forward with information.
The Code Red system is something that's been in place. Why is it just now being used to find Kiely?
Yeah, we have been talking about it for a while. It does take a lot. You have to break things up geographically. There are some things. It's not a traditional tool. It's not intended for a missing person. We had some faith that some of these other systems were going to move forward, and we put some emphasis onto it as we kind of built out a strategic plan to push out our Code Red. It takes multiple people. It's not like a one person. I can put out a Code Red pretty quickly on like a radius or something like that. But if you jam the system and it stops working and you got to wait for reset and then half get it, half don't, a person here, and it causes some confusion. So we've been working on it for probably a day-ish, you know, yesterday into the day, and we were trying to pick out a strategic plan to put out with Facebook to notify. And really we're kind of hoping for a resurgence of bodies, right? Volunteers are getting tired of being in the field and searching. They're coming out because they care. I did search and rescue for a long time, and the love and energy that comes out selflessly to do those things, it can get exhausting when people aren't seeing that there's a goal or a direction, and we're all feeling that. So we kind of try to pick our planning of our timing to be effective, and also some of the things that it takes logistically, and I'm sure Everbridge is relatively the same. We were trying to work in conjunction and make sure our message is clear and concise and matches and things like that. Our hope really for putting out today is that we can get a real surge of searchers and things coming into this weekend and reinvigorate. And we talked to family today about, you know, the potential of messaging and things like that to let people know that they care and they're on board and they really appreciate the community support and the things that are going on. But you know, we're trying to be strategic about things, but try not to abuse or lose things and stuff like that. So I'll leave it at that. You know, it wasn't necessarily perfect, and maybe it could have used earlier, and we acknowledge that. We didn't really know it was going to be what it is either, and so this has grown into something that wasn't really anticipated in day 1 or 2. We do searches all the time. Nevada County probably goes over 40 searches every year, not to this extent, and things that don't usually go this long because we're usually pretty successful, so pretty stressful on us as well. And more so on the family, and it's hard to look at them and not have answers. So, yeah.
We're going to take 2 more questions.
Is there, on your recent release that you came out today of agencies that have been assisting you, we noticed that Homeland Security has been removed from that list. Have they stepped away from the investigation? Are they still actively here, or have they pulled out?
We had Homeland Security listed earlier because they were assisting on some technical aspects of the investigation. It caused a lot of questions, and that may be why they've been removed at this point. I can tell you that there aren't any personnel involved from Homeland Security at this point, only FBI agents.
Final question. With searchers getting tired and new searchers coming in, and with this new technology you're using, can you reiterate that the people coming into town, because we're going to have a big influctuation of people into this community coming in starting tomorrow through the weekend, and if they do want to use those resources and go searching, can you explain to them where they need to come and they need to check the QR code and then use that before they enter the field instead of just entering the field if they're wanting to help?
Yeah, JD, thanks. I mean, I probably should have started with that. There's a lot going on.
Make sure they know they're coming.
Outside the box thinking, the teams came up with a great idea to create a mapping system for civilians and folks that aren't necessarily professionally trained to do certain things. The family has a trailer here in the rec center's parking lot. Rec center's been fantastic, allowing us to use this area and conduct media and community relations, but the family's been out in the trailer in the parking lot with the assistance from friends and community members. There's a system that allows you to log on to the CalTopo app. It's designed specifically for people trekking out in the woods, things of that nature. Also, we use it for search and rescue, emergency evacuations, and all kinds of things. People in the field can download the app, come down here. It can be accessed off of web pages as well on computers. But our goal for having the civilian side of CalTopo is people going into the field and helping us narrow areas that have been looked at and searched. We don't necessarily want to open up of, hey, here's where we've been searching, because one, we haven't found anything in those areas, but we also want to encourage people to go out and then be able to share those tracks. And so the reason it's not being, it has been copied and put online, and it is accessible out there, but we don't want 1 million people from the United States logging on to this. We want people like JD's pointing out that are coming here to the community and are like, hey, you know what? I can take a route over here, or I can go and look at this. We don't necessarily want people to turn on tracks and just log tracks while they're driving around town and going to concerts or doing things that are still going on in life. We want people who are logging the tracks because they're actively looking and they're staring off on the side of the highway, or they're walking around Stampede Lake or anywhere that they might be in the area, actively looking, not just logging on because they want to see what everybody else is doing. In the event too many people log on for unnecessary reasons, it could overload that server, and we may have to shut that map off, start a new map with a new code. So we're really encouraging people that want to truly participate to be able to use it, but not just anybody throughout the world, because at this point the QR code is out there. We didn't post it for a reason, and it's specifically for that, but it is a great tool. This hasn't really been done to my knowledge before, so we're really relying on the community to try to utilize this system appropriately to help out. That'll allow us to overlay on our current tracks and things we have. We're not sharing our tracks because it's a secret. We also don't want to condense people to come to where we're at, because that's where we are searching. But we also don't want to dissuade anybody that feels like they can go somewhere, because we're not perfect. And what if we did miss something and somebody else could have seen it? So we're not sharing it intentionally for a lot of various reasons, but it's not because it's a secret and it's hidden. We will share those maps and show things for people, but we don't want to influence a lot of things for various reasons. Good question, and thank you.
Thank you again to everyone for coming. Thank you to the family of Kiely. We really appreciate working with you, although we wish were under different circumstances. Any updates, any and all updates, will be put on the Placer County Sheriff's Office social media accounts, so please continue to monitor those. We will have the latest updates on there. Thank you so much. Good afternoon. I'm Angela Musalam, the Public Information Officer for the Placer County Sheriff's Office. I'm joined by our Unified Command today, and we're providing an update on the investigation. and search for Kiely Rodni. I'd like to first introduce Nevada County Sheriff's Captain Sam Brown for the latest on the search and rescue efforts.
Good afternoon, everybody. So obviously our search for Kiely continues, and we're trying to do the best that we can to keep things moving in a positive way and attempt to find some clues and locate some idea of where we need to get to. We've been working pretty close with the family, trying to make sure that we're providing them with up-to-date information, but also try to protect from a lot of the ups and downs that have occurred throughout this whole ordeal. We are still looking for any clues, videos, tips, any information to help us to put pieces together and help us to direct where we're going and how we're going to continue to do a search. We are moving into a more limited but continuous search and rescue effort. We've pulled in a ton of resources towards that goal, and I think to date we've had over like 9,000 man hours into searching, which is pretty astronomical. Our biggest problem is where do we go and how do we keep sustaining this? And so we do have some plans that were continued. Our team, our overhead team, worked extremely hard into long hours and continues to work to this day on creating plans that we can continue to follow up on. But we are going to have to switch modes and kind of focus on the investigative end and try to figure out where do we go from there. We still want all eyes and ears out there. We're coming into hunting season. We're hoping for people to have eyes out all over the place, and we're going to continue to put all of our efforts in as a unified command and continue to try to do our best as we move forward. So in the last 10 days that we've been searching, there's been an incredible effort. There's too many agencies, too many people to thank. But it has been pretty astronomical, the resources from air support to ground support to divers and swimmers and you name it, and we probably called and asked for it. And I would say that the majority of resources came in a relatively quick period of time. As we start to transition into more of the background investigative stuff that's been going on and really putting emphasis on that, we continue to work with the detectives. The Nevada County Sheriff's Office is highly invested in that end, as we have been from the very beginning, and we're going to continue to try to do the best that we can to keep things moving forward. The biggest thing that I'd like to say from our end on the search effort is we really appreciate the outpouring of support that's been from the community, from the family, and everything that's been going on. The community members and even folks from outside the community coming in to help look for Kiely and continue doing that search on their own as well is extremely important and has helped us with a lot of, hey, where should we go and how do we do it? I've never seen such great support, but I want to make sure that everybody stays in a positive mode and continues to move forward, because we still need people to have their eyes and ears out there and keep working towards the goal. And our goal, which has never changed from the beginning, is to find Kiely Rodni. Thanks.
I'd like to now introduce Placer County Sheriff's Lieutenant Josh Barnhart for the most recent update on the investigation.
Good afternoon. I would like to also thank Kiely's family for their continued support in this effort. It has truly been a feat. I'd like to commend the community for coming together to support us and all of their search and rescue efforts. I'd like to commend our own search and rescue and detectives, and also you, our media partners, for helping us put out the word about Kiely. We are committed to following through on all the tips that we receive. We are continuing to investigate leads from those tips. Today we have 50 plus detectives that are out and about interviewing and following up on those tips. We've married up with the FBI, our detectives in the FBI, to go out and do that. Another request is for more video. If anyone has more video that they have not submitted, please, there's no small amount of information for us. And more witness accounts from the party. If you have not come forward, if you were there and you saw something, please come forward and let us know. In closing, I'd like to say that we're putting the pedal down, that we're continuing to move forward this week, and that after this week we will be modifying things to a task force style. That means our resources will continue to move forward, but in somewhat of a different manner. Thank you.
As many of you are aware, yesterday we put out an updated photo on a sweatshirt that Kiely was seen wearing at the party Friday evening. Just to provide some clarification on that, we did receive video evidence showing Kiely at the party wearing the white sweatshirt you see to my left. To clear up any confusion, that same day Kiely was loaned that black sweatshirt you see above the first sweatshirt. And we never detailed or said that she was wearing the black sweatshirt. We believe that Kiely was in possession of the black sweatshirt at some point during that evening, but we have received video evidence showing Kiely wearing the black sweatshirt, and she was seen at the party. I'm sorry, the white sweatshirt, excuse me. So I just wanted to clarify that portion. We've also received confirmation that there is a Ram sticker that is located on the back of Kiely's vehicle, right underneath the rear wiper blade. So we believe this is very important information for the community and anybody in the area who continues to call in any tips to see if they can clarify that they also see a Ram sticker on the back of Kiely's vehicle. That was one notable thing that we've noticed. As you know, we remain committed to finding Kiely. That is all the information we have to share right now. We will continue to share any updates as they come and as we are able to release them to the public, to our social media accounts. So at this point, the press conference will conclude. We will limit questions to the press only and 2 questions per reporter in the interest of time, because we would like to get our command staff back to the incident command posts so they can continue their investigation.
Just one. Why, someone asked me why they haven't sent an Amber Alert yet. Is it because they didn't meet the criteria?
So that question was answered very extensively, about 4 or 5 days in a row. I can have the California Highway Patrol elaborate on that if you can. Thank you.
Sergeant Strecker with the California Highway Patrol in Truckee, and essentially, yes, there's very detailed and specific criteria for Amber Alerts. And as much as we might want to get that information out, the specifications on what has to be met in order to make that wasn't there. We, I think, collectively agree that the big social media push and whatnot that we've had has certainly reached a tremendous amount of people. So I personally feel very comfortable that our outreach in that capacity has accomplished what we could have accomplished with the Amber Alert. And certainly if things do change and that criteria changes, we would again apply for it and see if that'll happen from Sacramento. Sorry.
You said possibly moving forward in a little bit of a different way. Can you say what that means in terms of personnel and search groups?
Sure, I'll have Lieutenant Josh Barnhart answer that question.
I figured that would come up. So we've identified lead investigators from each agency, Placer County Sheriff, Nevada County Sheriff, CHP, Truckee PD, the FBI, and we will be moving forward in a task force manner. That means that with these leads, we'll be able to cycle personnel through rather than having a large group of personnel here. It doesn't mean the investigation is going to stop. It will continue to move forward. I hope that answers your question.
JD, has there been any change of position by the adults that have advised the teens not to speak? We talked about this a few days ago, that this was a very important part, that there was adults advising the teens that were at the party not to speak and contact authorities. Has there been any change in position with that?
I don't know that that's readily apparent. We only received several reports a few days ago, and since then we haven't received additional reports, but that doesn't mean that people are still telling, other teens potentially or young adults to not come forward. Our detectives and the FBI investigators are extremely committed to interviewing as many people as possible who went to that party, and they continue to do so today.
Thank you.
To follow up on that question, has anyone interviewed by the FBI in the surrounding area been uncooperative with investigators?
I'm going to let Lieutenant Barnhart answer that question.
I would say for the most part, everyone's been very cooperative, yes. And like I said, thank you to the community. Many people have come forward and given us information, but we haven't run into very large roadblocks with people not wanting to give us information. I think what JD was talking about was probably an isolated incident that we were able to get past.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
In the future, will you be able to release the image of Kiely wearing the pink and white shirt?
That's up to the investigators, but at this point, we don't want to compromise the investigation, so this was the only photo we were able to release. Any more questions?
Since the investigation is proceeding in a different way, will there continue to be press conferences and community meetings in the future?
We will not be holding a community meeting today, but we will hold press conferences as needed.
Am I allowed one more question?
Sure.
I have a question from the public, from my listeners.
Sure.
That went out and searched and used the CalTopo, and they want to ask that in what capacity have you used their searches within your searches there, Captain Brown?
Yeah, JD, thanks. That's a great question, and I would still put emphasis that even as the search goes into a limited and continuous mode, that map is still accessible. So anybody that's going out for the length of time that we don't have answers, I would recommend logging on and throwing those tracks out there. So ultimately, when search and rescue operates, there's an overhead team that designs plans and creates them. And we do that based off of information from the investigation, information from the map that folks are going out and using. That doesn't necessarily mean, though, that we don't go out and say search that same area, which is also why we told people, that it doesn't matter if we went and searched somewhere. If you go and search it again, you could literally be standing on a cliffside and not see something that's on the other side based on trees and terrain and rocks and all kinds of various things. And it's happened in many searches and in many areas. And so that still remains a huge possibility. But those tracks are taken into consideration as they come in of, okay, what kind of resource or what kind of push do we go? And is there really good coverage and is the land flat? Then that might indicate something versus if on a topographical map, if there's more slant and slope, and even though people may have walked on the top end, maybe we still need air support to get better eyes on it. But I would say that it has been a tremendous tool. It was fairly innovative from the team that's doing things, and CalTopo for us for search and rescue has always been a huge help, and just adding more tracks and more information doesn't always give us the answers, but it gives us an idea of direction and things. But yeah, it has been helpful in the event that the community is like, why are we doing this? We know we haven't released any maps. We're still not choosing to do that at this time. At a certain point, we may choose to do that, but it's been discussed, and it really doesn't give any benefit or help because we don't have a direction or clue of where to go anyway. So everybody's pretty familiar with where the epicenter of this all occurred, and it is worldwide from that point, expanding out of where do you go. So thank you, though, for that.
No, thank you.
Everybody good? All right. Thank you so much for helping us spread the word. We appreciate it, and we hope to have updates for everybody soon.